Well, joining us tonight, one of the president's strongest defenders of both the president, obviously, and his populist movement. He is Congressman Matt Gaetz, member of the House Judiciary Committee, Armed Services Committees. His new book is called Firebrand: Dispatches from the Front Lines of the MAGA Revolution. It's available for pre-order now, and we are delighted to have its distinguished author. That is Congressman Matt Gaetz. Matt, great to have you with us. You've just been in a meeting, I understand, with John Ratcliffe, the Director of National Intelligence. Is there anything you can share with us, with the audience,
Breaking
about that
news,
meeting?
Lou. Well, John Ratcliffe,
Good.
within the last few hours, has just declassified the memo that describes the August 17th briefing the FBI gave President Trump back in the 2016 election. Now, the FBI had been telling us that this was a defensive briefing, but the evidence that we have today proves that this was a setup of the president and of Michael Flynn. Here's how. You'll remember that at the end of July in 2016, the FBI opened the Trump-Russia investigation. On August 8th, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were saying, no, we'll stop him. On August 15th, the insurance policy. And then August 17th is the first defensive briefing that the Trump campaign gets. And who does the FBI send? Peter Strzok, Kevin Kleinsmith, who was the lawyer that literally changed evidence before the FISA court, and Joe Pienka, who shouldn't have been there in the first place. And in that meeting, they weren't trying to warn the Trump campaign. They were literally trying to ensnare Michael Flynn. And on the documents released today, they are labeling that meeting as part of the Crossfire Razor investigation, which was the Flynn investigation. So they should have been there to protect the president from any Russian interference. Instead, they were there to frame the president and try to put pressure on Michael Flynn. This is what we've been talking about for years now, even more evidence that it's the case.
Well, congratulations to John Ratcliffe for declassifying the documents and pushing this information into the public arena, because everyone is anticipating that there will be charges against those who conspired to overthrow this president. This is outrageous. This is of a historic level that it boggles the mind to think that academia, our scholars, are not involved in this at all. That there is not a word of protest from those professional academic historians who should be all over this. But they are as quiet as church mice.
Remember, this was during the Obama-Biden administration, and it was Joe Biden himself who was trying to manufacture some basis to go after General Flynn. So the reason this is important is that it didn't just occur during the Trump administration. This defensive briefing was part of the plan to try to delegitimize President Trump, to try to go after his allies, even back during the Obama-Biden administration.
It is, without question, we now know that this was a full-on effort by the Obama-era intelligence people, not just the National Security Division of the FBI and its top officials of that agency and the Justice Department. This was a widespread effort under the auspices of the Obama White House, without question. I want to turn to what's going on right now, and that is, it looks like, according to the polls, that President Trump is a lot more popular than most of these polls are detecting. Who would have ever suspected that there was something called a silent majority? We look at the Cato Institute poll that shows 55% of Americans are afraid to express their political viewpoints, but almost 80% of conservatives and Republicans are afraid to express their views because of the violence of the left and the extraordinary campaign by the left to silence that majority out there. It's incredible.
President Trump is leading the most powerful political movement, certainly in my lifetime, and the left's strategy is to try to demoralize us and demean us and to stop us from expressing our patriotism and love of our president and our country. And while it's no surprise that folks on the left are going after the president, I am deeply disappointed that Liz Cheney, the chair of the House Republican caucus, is also working against President Trump. I think Republicans deserve a House conference chair who will stand with our president and won't oppose him on everything from Germany to Afghanistan to Syria to the coronavirus. Even Liz Cheney picking up the hashtags of Nancy Pelosi and using them to chide our president. It's one of the reasons why I've asked for her to step aside, so that in this run-up to the election, we have leaders and conference chairs who will campaign with the president and help re-elect him so we can save this great country.
You know, you Republicans on Capitol Hill are a courageous bunch. I have to admire your sportsmanship. You find ways to put leaders who are in opposition to nearly everything the Republican Party stands for. You've made one of them a Speaker of the House back in 2018. You've got Cheney now. How does this happen with you Republicans?
Hey, rhinos are almost extinct in Africa, but they seem to roam free in the Republican leadership at times. And you're absolutely right that Liz Cheney has taken the baton of anti-Trumpism from Paul Ryan. She'd been working against him behind the scenes for some time, but now she's actively chiding the president. And I think that Republicans in our conference who support the president need to step up for him and need to ensure that Liz Cheney does not have the imprimatur of republicanism as she attacks our leader.
I think that's sage counsel as usual from you, Congressman Matt Gaetz. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Great to have you here.